Hello everybody, it's ViciousSlaughter from Team GoldStandrdGaming, and today I'm going over Jin Kazama. Keep in mind this is just for beginners or anybody who just wants to pick up the character. I'm going to start off with his launchers. Keep in mind not every one of his launchers are included. I do think I included most of them except for down 3+4. Only because I really didn't do too many combos or playing with it myself, so I did not include it with this video. Okay, let's go ahead and get started with Raw Rising 2. It's a quick launcher, good for punishing those low blocks. Then you have his Wave Dash 1, which is, in my mind, is really his go-to launcher. Mental Alertness 1+2. This, I think, is better suited as a tag assault filler rather than a launcher because of its height. Another really good one is Down Back 2-3. It is not natural, so I would be careful as to how often you throw it out, but it is a pretty good damaging launcher. Then you have Up Forward 4, which is a cripple on hit, so launcher on hit. Next, I'd like to go into just a few things I feel are notable, just a few things to know while you develop your own Jin style. Jin does have a few moves that change when the input is repeated at the end of the mix-up or combo, but for instance, 2-1-4, by simply double tapping the last 4, you get a little trip. Then you also have down forward 1-4, it's shown on the screen. By inputting the extra 4, you get an extra little extended kick, which is good for catching those off-balance combos. This I just found pretty interesting. The simple fact that with Devil Jin as his partner, you do get a little transformation. It is extremely punishable, so I would be careful on when you use that. Next, I want to go over a few beginner into intermediate combos. These will be solo combos, and the notations will be located at the bottom of the screen. Please keep in mind anywhere where mental alertness appears, it will appear as MA. I'll also not be including a section on bound moves, as they will appear frequently in the upcoming sections. You'll notice on a lot of these first combos that the only difference is the launcher. That's because the back 2-1 into down back 2-2-3 is a universal string and can really follow really any of his launchers for quick, easy, almost guaranteed damage. I would also keep an eye out for any moves that cripple on hit or on counter hit, because it pretty much can be followed up by the same string, the back 2-1 and or followed up by the down back 2-2-3. Although I'm not really going to cover counter hit moves or counter hit combos, that is something you can play with because he does have several moves that will actually launch on counter hit. But again, that will not be covered in this video. This is strictly the basics. This next bit, I actually noticed that back 3 can actually be used as a filler for an almost easy mode string. Seeing as how it can be transitioned in the mental alertness by holding forward, you can get a nice little ender on top of that for easy damage. A good ender I've found to Jin strings is down forward 1-4, but there are instances at which the actual 4 will not reach at the end of the string, depending on how many fillers were in the combo. I've actually found ways around this. It's still not 100% consistent, but by actually transitioning into the double tapping 4, you're actually a lot more likely to catch your opponent at the end of the string. You'll also notice that by doing 1-4-4 over 1-4, it actually increases damage by 1 point. I'll now be going over tag assaults. Even though I'm using Devil Jin as my partner, I will only be focusing on the enders and their actual practicality. The first ender I'd like to go over is Crouch Dash 1 or Crouch Dash 2. Though Crouch Dash 1 is shown here, Um, Neither will really connect um, outside of a decently shortened combo or tag assault. Um, but one thing you will notice is it actually becomes a lot more useful in longer combos at the wall. So if your tag assault brings them to wall or the wall splat, um, this is a viable, not really damage wise, but more so look wise. This next ender is back 3, transition mental alertness into 4. This is actually one of Jin's most viable enders, though not the flashiest in the least. It is the most reliable, especially in those longer tag assaults. As you can see here, in a much longer tag assault, especially out in the open, um, mental alertness 4 is going to be your go-to ender. A much flashier ender would be mental alertness 2-1. Um, it looks better, but it's a lot more inconsistent. Um, it's reliable in minimal length combos, um, but one good thing about mental alertness 2-1 is that if your combo or your string leads the opponent to a wall and results in a wall splat, um, it will connect, and then this will actually be decent damage. But this is a unique case in which you can actually use a longer string and end with mental alertness 2-1. Just as I mentioned earlier, down forward 1-4-4 is a pretty good ender. It does send your opponent quite a distance away, so it is pretty good at transitioning into wall hits. So make use of that. Lastly, I'm going to cover wall combos. There will be delayed playback, but there will not be notations, as I don't feel the need for them. One thing you'll notice is I'm actually starting all these combos off with a launcher. That's because it's just, I've found it's a lot easier to get consistent combos off of wall splat rather than wall hit or wall slouch. Um, Off of wall splat, most of Jin's enders are rather really consistent. Um, the enders I would be fishing for on the wall are 1+2 or mental alertness simply by pressing back 1, mental alertness 1-2, or back forward 2-1-2. They all yield relatively around the same damage, depending on the combo leading up to the ender. But I would definitely just play around with those enders and try to come up with real consistent methods of executing wall combos and wall carries. The ones being shown currently are really just examples of solo wall carries or solo wall combos, which yield decent damage, but they're not really too impressive. Just to take it a step further, if you're not, really on the wall, but you're close to the wall, I would go ahead and throw in a tag assault in there as well, just to get that little extra damage, and then make sure whatever filler you use, it actually carries them to the wall splat, and then go ahead and follow up with your ender. This is actually one of the only instances where I could see forward 1+2 landing on a wall carry. That's not to say that there's not other instances, but this is the only one that I found, and it does yield pretty good damage. The only other wall ender I found that did any more was back forward 2-1-2. So I definitely play around with those. That concludes this beginner Gen tutorial. I know there was a lot of things not covered in this, but I feel this should be enough just to kind of get people started. If you want to see videos on anything else, whether it be Omen stance, advanced combos, anything of that sort, just go ahead and throw it in the comments below. And thanks for watching.